From Scripps Sports, this is Grizzly Insider, sponsored by Albertsons Safeway.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Griz Insider here on the Montana Television Network. Alongside the voice of the Griz, Riley Corcoran, I'm Kyle Hansen, and the Montana Grizzlies remain undefeated by winning a thriller down in Holt Arena 42-38 over the Idaho State Bengals. Riley, what a game. We had this one circled as a potential trap game for Montana and Idaho State, especially offensively. Boy, the Bengals are fun to watch.
They really are, Kyle. That game had to be so much fun for a fan to watch. Now, some heart-stopping moments in between all of the points and the 6 lead changes and just all of the momentum swings in that game. It had a little bit of everything. And sometimes when we do prep for a game all week, you might think that one style of play is going to happen, and we get surprised. This week, all our questions were answered and validated because it was a shootout, the two best offenses in the Big Sky Conference, and they both were on full display. And it really came down at the very end to which defense could actually make the stop, and it was the Montana Grizzlies that did in the fourth quarter.
Absolutely. Both teams totally showing up. Over 1,000 yards total between these two, 80 combined points. When you look at that first half, you can kind of tell it was trending towards that way initially as well. Montana coming out swinging on their first road game of the season, but Idaho State also game in kind of response and obviously taking that lead early as well.
Yeah, and you look at Idaho State, a team that was really banged up in September and only had one home game, and it wasn't even against a Division I school. They pulled out all the stops against Montana, and you knew they would be ready to go out of the gates. There was good energy inside the ICCU Dome, Holt Arena, as I still like to call it. But Idaho State, their first half, they looked like a team that could win the Big Sky Conference. Jordan Cook is standing back there, flinging it around. His wide receivers are so talented. And a group that we don't talk enough about is their offensive line. They've allowed 1 sack all season, the fewest in the FCS. And the Griz had a hard time putting any pressure on Jordan Cook, and he was able to stand back there, kind of sling it all over the place, and the Griz were on their heels. Now, on the flip side, Montana figured it out. They at least made him uncomfortable, and that was huge, at least in the first half, on the defensive side.
Now, as you turn the page to the second half, Idaho State takes that 31-18 lead. You know, and things just kind of shifted for Montana, obviously, because they had to kind of score in bunches now. Maybe you don't want to hit the panic button, but you have to have a little bit of urgency. But defensively, it felt like they shifted as well, and we're starting to improve a little bit on that side.
Yes, they were, and I think on the back end, they were figuring some things out. Peyton Wing was available to start the third quarter. He gave the Griz some instant energy, at least coming in there, rushing the passer. He was fresh, at least, too, to try and rush Jordan Cook. At least on the defensive side, Montana was able to figure it out. You go to the flip side of it, offensively, they were relentless the entire game. And I feel that the fact that they were down 13 points in the third quarter and just had a point where they knew that the pressure was on. They could not afford to have another possession where they were punting or giving it back to Idaho State, because quite frankly, they might have been overtaken at least at that point in the game. So it was really great to see the offense come to life as it always has all season long. But man, they're fun to watch with the dynamic ability of Michael Wortham.
100%. And how about that? So obviously another big game for Kali'i Ayat, a great test for him. Brooks Davis, another big game. But you have to talk about 6. What a game. We keep talking about how he does everything, and quite literally he did everything in this game, and without him they do not win this game.
They don't, Kyle, just point blank. And he was the difference maker in every sense of the word. When he touched the football on special teams, your eyes lit up that he might be able to break it. And he had some great kick returns in the game. Then his rushing ability, I thought the Grizzlies really needed that because Eli Gilman was bottled up because we have such high standards for Eli, but the Griz couldn't run between the tackles. It was Wortham's ability in the rushing attack that kind of loosened up the defense. Then you get to a receiving ability. Has a long bomb that he catches, another 100-yard game. And then let's get to his passing. Those passes were great. I cannot wait to talk to him about it here later because those 2 passes were the difference makers. Ballsy calls to do it, and Montana was able to convert on those 2 passes and an unbelievable touchdown.
Showing some of that high school quarterback and JUCO quarterback. He was an All-American for a reason at junior college at that position. Michael Wortham is going to be joining us later on the show as well. But coming up after the break, Bobby Hauck will catch up with Riley to talk about the win over Idaho State.
There's more Griz coverage online anytime at montanasports.com. Welcome back to Grizzly Insider, sponsored by Albertsons Safeway.
Welcome back to the Griz Insider. So much to cover from that wild win for the Montana Grizzlies, 42-38 over Idaho State. Their 16th straight win over the Bengals. So we're here with Coach Hauck, and it always seems, Coach Hauck, that when you go down to Pocatello, bizarre things happen, and you have to be ready for everything. How did this one compare here this Saturday?
You know, we kind of knew it going in a little bit, just that what it was going to be. I think they're a good team. You and I talked about they're a dangerous team because they can score points. When the quarterback gets hot, they're tough to stop now, and he was hot in that first half. And you know, our guys were ready to play. Our guys played hard. I think that's what ended up getting us a win in the long run.
Well, certainly you guys again had another dominant second half, and you outscore Idaho State 24-7 after they take their biggest lead. Let's go back to the first half before we get there, Coach. And just both sides of the football. Your offense came out rolling to get that opening drive touchdown, but as you mentioned, Idaho State was hot on the offensive side, and you guys had to make the necessary adjustments defensively. But walk me through the first half as you guys did go into the halftime break down 6.
Yeah, so we took the ball and went right down the field and scored, had the lead early. They fought back. We got a little stagnant at times where we didn't run it as well as we'd like to, and thus our first down offense wasn't as good as it needed to be. And then on the other side of the ball, our third down defense wasn't as good as it needed to be, and that's what we talked about at halftime, both in the locker room and then with you guys on the radio. And we kind of got some of those things shored up, but you know, we played well enough to be in the game. I thought they were playing exceptionally well, like they had maybe in the first game against UNLV when they had them down in the fourth quarter. We hung on. We got some things straightened out. The first half wasn't totally cleanly played, but it was good enough to be in the game.
And certainly dominated in the second half, and you shut Idaho State out in the fourth quarter, making those necessary stops. I think with all the wild sequences, people will forget that fourth down stop that you had late in the fourth quarter, but just the adjustments. And defensively, what did you like about the second half? Because again, your guys rose to the occasion.
Yeah, we clamped it down. We started, that quarterback doesn't play as well, like all quarterbacks, when you start getting to him a little bit and roughing him up. So the accuracy level went down. His numbers went back to what they more commonly are. He was kind of half special the first half, but the second half we got after him a little bit. Our coverage clamped down, and as you mentioned, that fourth down stop was big.
Under 50% in the second half for Jordan Cook after those good numbers in the first half. How about your offensive performance? 42 points, obviously a lot to like, over 500 yards, and you guys had a little bit of everything. What was the process throughout the game for you?
Well, the offensive coaches did a great job. Brent did a great job calling it. They had a great plan, and because of Idaho State's way on offense and their abilities, it was kind of a let-it-rip game for us, and that's certainly how it played out. We kind of let it rip, and we got enough points. We needed every one of them in the end to get it done.
Yes, it was certainly fun, and a lot of individuals that stood out, but we're going to bring on Michael Wortham here coming up. How special is this guy, Coach? He had nearly 300 all-purpose yards, not only in the return game, not only rushing the football, over 100 yards receiving, but the 2 big passes, including the touchdown to Josh Gale and that throw to Ke'Ali Iyaya. What can you say about Mike?
Well, Idaho State wasn't going to let us beat them running the ball. I mean, they were running heavy fronts and run blitz and gaming it, which cost them on the edge, and it also cost them with Mike. I mean, I think Mike was special. Mike had 250 yards total offense. I mean, between the running, the catching, the throwing, and the return game. Actually, I don't even think the passes count in that. So he was unreal. We're glad we've got him. And it was a good team win.
It certainly was a good team win. Montana gets it done 42-38. They improved to 5-0, and they will look to improve to 6-0 for the first time since 2009. You know that year very well this week against Cal Poly. So give us the early look on the Cal Poly Mustangs, who are clearly a different team this year than they've been in years past.
Yeah, they're off to a good start to the season. They're playing really well. Their win over Sac State was not a shock to those of us that watched what's going on there a little bit. They want to throw the ball around. There'll be a problem, and we're going to have a good week of preparation.
Well, Coach, I know this is one of your favorite weeks of the year, so an early happy homecoming week, and we'll try and make everyone happy.
Yeah, here we go. Homecoming, October's here, fired up.
Should be great, and we have a great show for you here on the Griz Insider. On the other side of the break, we'll be joined by Michael Wortham.
Get social with Grizzly fans and follow MTN Sports on Facebook, Instagram, and X. Welcome back to Grizzly Insider, sponsored by Albertson Safeway.
Welcome back into the Griz Insider. An electrifying win for the Montana Grizzlies against the Idaho State Bengals. And the man responsible for most of those moments is Michael Wortham, joining us now on the show. Mike, how was that drive back home on Saturday night and just going through that game and all the unbelievable plays and the Grizzlies coming out on top?
Oh man, it felt better after a win. You know, it was a fight, dog fight, definitely during that game. A lot of adversity we had to overcome. You know, and that's what great teams do. You know, you just have to go through those moments. There's always going to be a battle, especially with a big target on your back being undefeated.
Well, nearly 300 all-purpose yards in the game. When it goes to the special teams, to the rushing ability, to receiving over 100 yards, we have to talk about the passes right away, right? Because we knew you had that passing ability, and those that aren't familiar, he was an all-world quarterback at JUCO, at Sierra College, and high school as well. So it wasn't out of the realm for you to throw passes. When you guys were dialing in those plays throughout the course of the week, did you think that they could come up in those big moments when Coach Pease called it up and you guys were able to deliver?
Yeah, I mean, it's the stuff we practice, you know. We go over it many, many times, you know, and at the end of the day, it just came to execution. You know, when you hear the plays called, you're like, oh, okay, this got to be a big play or it could go bad, you know. And so, yeah, you know, I just hear the play being called and I'm just like, okay, well, it's time to execute. It's a big moment. He's calling this play for a reason. And this play is supposed to turn the game around, you know, so.
Well, you lead the nation in all-purpose yards per game now, and I have to ask, during the middle of a game, as the game's going on with all of the roles that you have, how much fun is it on the sideline, okay, whether it's going to be coming in at quarterback and taking a snap, a kick return, a pass, or just going downfield and having another 100-yard receiving game? What's it like throughout the process? Because you can do so much in every single play, your number could be called. What's that like throughout the game?
It's honestly a blessing, you know, and not a lot of people get this opportunity to be everywhere, you know, so I just kind of take in the moment, talk with my guys, kind of stay within the game, you know, and yeah, just whenever my number's called, like, you know, if I know I'm going to be a receiver, you know, I focus and execute there, you know, and when my quarterback plays comes up, you know I got to flip that switch. Okay, now what do I have to do here? How do I execute this play as best as I could? How do I speak loud enough for the lineman to hear me? Because now I'm going from running a lot to having to say the cadence, you know, and stuff like that. So it's very important. My linemen kind of get on me a little bit of speaking up. But yeah, man, I mean, I think it's awesome. You know, I've been used to this now, got used to it for a couple years now, so not as nerve-wracking or hard as it used to be, but like now it's just coming out there, biggest word is just executing every play.
Stand out throughout your entire high school career, maybe overlooked, and you go to junior college ball, and then you go to Eastern Washington, and now you get in the transfer portal and Montana pops up. And for everything that you envisioned of what Montana football can be and your role here for the Grizzlies, how has it played out for the first 5 games of what you were hoping to get maybe out of your career, your college experience, and here through the first half of the season here for Montana? How's it all lived out for you?
Oh man, it's been perfect. You know, you couldn't write any better. Feel like coaches gave me a good game plan each and every game. I feel like I have a great team on both sides of the ball. Everybody's playing their hearts out right now, you know, and this is a different care factor, you know. So it's not even just me, you know. I just feel like they feed off my energy and I feed off their energy as well, and I could just tell, like, you know, the expectation that all of them hold me to, you know, it's like I have to be that for them, you know, and I hold them to the expectations as well, you know. It's just, that's what great teams do, is just, you know, iron sharpens iron at the end of the day, you know, and so we just try to make each other better.
It's a perfect fit across the board, and I think you bring a lot of smiles to Grizz fans' faces as well. You talk about being a member of a team, the Grizzly football team,
yeah,
but you're also a member of a team at your home as well. And how are you able to balance being a father, obviously a husband, and a dad as well to your dogs too? So just everything at home, being able to balance. I don't think people realize your schedule from a day-to-day basis, week-to-week basis, how you and your wife balance it. But how is that all played out, and obviously been a success story too?
Oh man, I have nobody to thank but my wife. You know, she's a rock star. She helps me with everything. off the field. And yeah, she just makes sure that everything is flowing throughout the house. We have our shifts, great communication. So at the end of the day, when it's my turn to take care of the kid, I'm doing my job, and I try to help her out throughout the day. We got the dolls as well. The dolls don't need as much attention as, a baby does, but still take care of them, playing with them, making sure they're getting their proper nutrition training throughout the day and stuff like that, and stuff. So, it's not as bad when you have a great wife like I do, and so I'm super thankful for her. Without her, it would be a lot harder.
Well, I tell you what, an All-American on the field and off the field. It's been a perfect fit here at Montana. Cannot wait to see what we can do the rest of the year. Thanks for joining us today.
Absolutely.
All right, we'll continue on. Kyle Hansen will rejoin me on the Griz Insider on the other side of the break.
Take coverage of the Griz with you. Download our mobile app today. Welcome back to Grizzly Insider, sponsored by Albertson Safeway.
Welcome back into the Griz Insider. Great stuff from the guy who won the game, Michael Wortham, against Idaho State, and of course head coach Bobby Houck. And now we turn the page to the third conference game of the season for the Montana Grizzlies. And it could be a fun one. Cal Poly's looking pretty good to start this year. Obviously, they had the opening conference win over Sacramento State and lost a close one against UC Davis. I mean, the Mustangs are looking pretty good under Paul Wolf right now.
They are, Kyle, and I think that's what's so fun about the Big Sky, year in and year out, that maybe we have tiers of the league. And Cal Poly was in the bottom tier in the league the last couple of seasons. They've elevated themselves. I think now they're a team you cannot overlook. You go on the road and beat a ranked Sacramento State team, that's a good win, regardless. And they have been in nearly every game this season. The only game really that you kind of are puzzled by their result is when they had a quarterback issue at Stephen F. Austin and they were rotating guys. Game got away from them. Outside of that, competitive against UC Davis. We were really following that game on Saturday night when Montana was playing at the same time. They were with Davis step for step the entire way, and we know when you think of Cal Poly, when you think of Paul Wolf, you're thinking of high-flying offense, and Cal Poly has some guys that can do that.
100%. Three guys have played at quarterback for them this year. The last couple of games, Bo Kelly kind of taking the reins with that, obviously, as you mentioned, with the rank win over Sacramento State. You got to circle Michael Briscoe, though, if you're game planning for them. Arguably the best receiver in this league, big playmaker, dynamic playmaker, and he's kind of the guy, I think, like the Grizzlies, especially after you look at what happened with the secondary this last week, you have to really circle on him in game plan because he could have a field day in theory.
Yes, and I think on paper sometimes we look and we're trying to find a matchup of the game. This one is clear as day. It's Michael Briscoe, probably their best player, against the Grizzlies secondary that has been challenged at times this year, and it'll be fun for 26,000 in the stadium and all of us watching along to go, okay, they're going to try to get the ball to Briscoe. Can Montana stop that? And what are they going to do to maybe help out in that regard? Because he certainly is a top receiver in this league, really in the entire country. That'll be a fun test. But Cal Poly offensively, again, when they come into Montana, come into Missoula with an opportunity to win, they're going to pull out all the stops. Last year down in Poly, it got away from them a little bit, and who knows? The revenge factor's there, and Cal Poly, again, 3-3 this year. You know they're going to be ready for it.
Absolutely. Mikey D'Amato and Kenny Olson, couple of linebackers for the Mustangs, who are top 3 in the league in tackles. Brian Dukes with 2 picks at safety as well. So their defense now having some playmakers there as well. As you look at the conference as a whole, Riley, things obviously even just a couple games in starting to separate themselves a little bit, right? You look at who's undefeated in conference play, and then kind of that middle tier. There's a lot of question marks in that area.
There is, and I think that's probably the biggest difference from last year to this year when comparing the Big Sky Conference. That top tier is impressive, and you have 3 undefeated teams, 3 teams that are ranked in the top 10, Montana, Montana State, and UC Davis. After that, you can make an argument for you're not quite sure who is the next best team, and teams that are going to be fighting for playoff positioning. Northern Arizona, Idaho, watch out for Idaho State. Firsthand, after seeing them, they are going to beat a ranked team and might wreck somebody's season. Then after that, bottom of the league, maybe down compared to different years. So it's just always fun, year in, year out. But one thing that is very clear at this point is the favorites have separated themselves. And those 3 teams are going to get everybody's best shot moving forward, and they're the ones that are going to be circled on the calendar.
100%. Northern Arizona getting stomped by Montana State. Point blank down in Flagstaff as the Bobcats had a big statement win in the second game of conference play. We'll wrap up things here on the Griz Insider after this.
Get social with Grizzly fans and follow MTN Sports on Facebook, Instagram, and X.
Well, the Montana Grizzlies are back home this week for homecoming as they welcome the Cal Poly Mustangs to town. And Riley, it's going to be a really fun week in Missoula with all sports, but of course all the festivities that come as well.
Homecoming week, you just feel it all around, right? And everybody being at home will make it that much better. The homecoming pep rally, always a fun event on the Oval, Friday night, 8 o'clock. But not only that, Grizzly soccer has maybe their biggest home match in conference play. Weber State at the top of the conference standings. That'll be on Thursday. Home again on Sunday. Then the doubleheader Saturday. I'll make sure I rest up my voice. Everyone rest up and save up their energy because Grizzly football at 2, but Griz Cat volleyball will be at 8 o'clock that night. So always a fun week on campus, and we'll see if the Montana Grizzlies can move to 6-0 for the first time since 2009.
It's going to be a lot of fun across all sports at the University of Montana, and a happy homecoming week to all who will be here as well. You can catch Riley on the Grizzly Radio Network with kickoff at 2 p.m. And of course, Scripps Sports will carry your broadcast. And we'll be back here next week on the Griz Insider to break it all down. Have a great weekend.